Welcome, everyone. Obviously, if you're watching over on my Facebook page, then you already know who I am. My name is Lyly Ledbetter. I'm also going to be using the video recording from this conversation over in different social media platforms. So if you are on YouTube, you'll be able to watch the replay there as well. And then, of course, I'll cut it up into some reels and use it over on Instagram and TikTok and all the things. But today, I'm super excited to introduce you to one of my dear friends, Elizabeth Oschwald, who I met 5 years ago. I met you March 2019 here in Dallas, Texas at the 100X conference. I think was it the first 100X conference? March
I
2000?
think it was the second.
Was it the
I think
second?
it was the second one.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that was the first time I got exposed to you, but didn't really like talk or meet. Then I met you again in Vacaville, California, August 2019. And that's when I interrupted you. And I said, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt your conversation, but when you have a minute, I'd love to talk to you. And you're like, we can talk right now. And that was the beginning of our friendship. And I love Liz for a lot of different reasons. I mean, gosh, Liz, if I could go down a list, you're such an incredible mama. Like you now have a blended family of what, how many? 7 kiddos, right? And
Seven.
your story is just so inspiring, which you will share in just a moment, but it just speaks to who you are as a woman, as a daughter of God, as a mother of your children, as a wife, as a friend. And you're just somebody, when I think of you, Liz, I think of somebody who loves really well.
Thank
That's
you.
literally what I think about. I'm like, Liz loves really well. You know how to serve well, you know how to love well. Yeah, you're one of the most wonderful servant leaders that I've had the privilege and honor of walking with. But you've not only been a leader in my life, you're also my friend. And we get to talk about Jesus and health and kids and animals and all the things, our dreams and all the different things that are part of our lives. And we get to go on trips together. And next year we're going to go to Punta Cana, because I'm just going to say that we're going to,
We are.
the beach together.
We are both going to Canada
You
and
know,
our
you
husbands.
yes, and you were just at my house not that long ago. You were in Dallas for a conference, and all that to say is that I don't only know Liz from a business standpoint. We have a friendship. We walk life together. Obviously, she's in a different state, but we walk out relationship together. And it's been such a joy to get to know you at such a deep and intimate level, and to know your family and such. So today, I want to highlight you and your story, because as I was listening to you a couple of days ago, or maybe that was just yesterday, actually.
I think it was yes.
Yes, on a call that we call Breakfast with Champions, your story, which I have heard a multitude of times in the past, just really struck me. And I thought, man, I want other mothers to hear this story. I want them to realize that this can be their story, because where you used to be seemed really hopeless.
Mhm.
It seemed like a place that you could potentially be stuck in forever. Like you could still be stuck, but you made choices, you made decisions along the way to get unstuck, right? To better your life and better the life of your children, and to see how you have grown and flourished. And now you're thriving in as a mom, as a wife, in business. Like it's like a day and night transformation, honestly. So I want mothers to listen to this and to be encouraged by your story, and not just encouraged, but I really hope that it stirs something in them, that it activates something in them, that whatever dreams and purposes that they've had locked up in their hearts, that they come unlocked again, that they come alive again. Because I find that oftentimes with difficult circumstances, we begin to suppress those dreams
Yeah.
and visions and the hopes that we have for life and our families. And we begin to think that that's not possible. We
Mhm.
begin to lower our standards and dream small. And a side note here, but not long ago, I think it was a book I was reading with Dr. Miles Monroe, and he said something in regards to children, how parents will oftentimes tell their kids, oh, well, that's not realistic. Like, you need to be realistic in like their
Mm.
dreams. Like, I want to be an astronaut. And when they're little, it's like, oh, that's so cute. But as they start getting older, we tend to be like, well, honey, you really need to think about something that you can actually do. And it's like, no,
No.
we have been telling our kids the wrong things this whole time.
Yeah.
We should be fueling their creativity and their imagination that it's all possible. It
Yeah.
really is. And so anyway, I know that was like a bunny trail, but the point is that with your story, I see that. I see a story that was an impossible scenario, and
Mhm.
you did a complete like 180, and it's very, very inspiring. So we'll start there, and then I want to talk about really what unlocked things for you and brought you into a space of abundance. And when I say abundance, obviously I'm talking about financial breakthrough, but more than that. Okay,
Yeah.
so why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who's watching who you are and then tell us your story.
Okay. First, I have to just thank you for your kind, so generous words. And you're one of my very favorite people too. In fact, when I talk about you to others, I'm like, Lyly, I say very similar things. She's one of the most servant-hearted, brilliant, um, just so passionate for Jesus, the way you love, the way you serve, highly prophetic, like just the way you speak into people's lives, um, in like little intentional ways, but then in really big, profound ways too. Like, I just treasure you. I treasure you as a friend. I treasure you as a business partner. I just adore you. So thank you for the privilege of speaking with you and to your people who trust you. It is a great honor to share my story, and I do hope everything you said that someone will be, even just one person will be inspired or unlocked in some way, activated to dream
Mhm.
bigger, because there
Yes.
truly is no limit to what we can achieve with the Lord. Um, if we're willing to be coachable, if we're willing to sit in rooms that we feel a little uncomfortable in and take just one little step of action at a time. So
Yes.
I don't know how far back you want me to go with my story. Do you want me to start with the single mom?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was a single mom. I had two little girls, and at the time I became a single mom, they were almost 2 and almost 5. So like 1 and 4, I guess. Um, would be the easier way to say it. Um, and so we left a bad and hard situation. And actually the first thing we did, because I was a stay-at-home mom, hadn't worked outside the home and knew in that season, knew even before I had children that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Knew that my heart was going to be at home with my kids. As a matter of fact, like if someone would have asked me when I was little what I wanted to be when I grew up, instead of astronaut, I would have just said mommy. I just
Mhm.
always wanted to be a mom. And so it was a crazy moment to be, okay, we have to leave a situation because it's not healthy or good or safe, but that means I have to get a job. So how do I actually support these children and be home with them? It was like, how does that work? Thankfully, when we initially left, I had a really dear friend, Kelly Whalen and Andrew Whalen. Um, before I could even begin to think about where would I work or where would we live, they said, just move in with us. So my girls and I lived in their basement for, we were trying to think about how long it was recently, and we're like maybe a month or two. I don't know how long it was. It felt like a long time to me, but she said it didn't feel like a long time to her. Anyways, so we did that, and then I actually, my first job was waitressing at Cracker Barrel on night shifts when she would watch the kids so I could go work a few hours, and then on the weekends I would work doubles. And that allowed me to still, I was homeschooling my older daughter at the time. We had just started homeschooling. And so then we got our first little apartment and had no furniture. We had nothing. So um, a friend let us borrow an air mattress, and it had a slow leak. And the air mattress was like in our living room, which was hardwood floors. And Kelly actually gave us like a table. Someone had given us like this old box, like the heavy TVs. And
Yes.
we had like a VCR. So I remember like falling asleep on the air mattress, watching a movie, um, feeling just so at peace, so safe. Like, I didn't even care. I didn't even care that we were on an air mattress, and waking up on the hard floor in the morning and just being so grateful. Um, and, fast forward, so, there was a time of extreme poverty, like link
Mhm.
card, state, like, provided the health insurance, like, all those things, like, below the poverty line. I
Yeah.
then started a home daycare, so I was making a little bit more. I remember feeling like if I had even just like 1 or $200 in the bank, that that was a lot because I wasn't close to the negative. And um,
Yeah.
you know, it was just like the season of understanding you can't put a price on peace
Yes.
and knowing what my assignment was discipling my kids and to spend as much time with them as I could. And if more kids had to come into the home and I could love on them at the same time to make that possible, then I'd do that. If I had to waitress on the weekends to serve other people, the Lord taught me so much through waitressing. I really
Mm.
highly recommend. I'm like, I need to make my teenagers go and get a waitressing job
Yes.
just
I
so
know
they
what you're
can.
saying. I did it too. So yes, so much
Yes.
to be learned in serving tables. Let me pause you for a minute. Why don't you tell us why you chose to do in-home daycare? Because clearly you could have worked outside of the home, but you didn't.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, mainly I just wanted the time with my kids and that was a way for me to well, one, we live in Illinois, so winters are cold. When there was a period of time where there was a family who wanted me to nanny for them, and I would take the girls with me to nanny at their house and getting them up early in the morning and in the car and driving in the cold to this other family's house was like this is like not fun. And then I found out that I could actually make a little bit more watching, a few more kids in my home. So part of it was that just I love kids too. I also was like, I only have two, and I always grew up saying like I want to have 10 kids. So I love kids. Like you've seen even me with Nathan, like with your son, like I just love kids. So it was an easy thing. It was fun for my girls. Like they loved, especially when we got babies. They learned mommy skills really young. So we would like line them up, change their diapers together. Like it was just really fun. It was, a season of just really kinda, like, creating an atmosphere in our home,
Yeah.
and I found that even bringing other kids into that, especially because they were young, they're, like, before school age, like, they're, like, 3 or 4 and under. It was easy to, just bring them into that too. So it was fun.
Yeah.
I wish then that I would have known what I know now about starting a business from home. I just didn't know. So that was just the easiest thing I knew that I could do without really.
Yeah, totally. No, I love though that in spite of not having the business knowledge back then or knowing about different options, like you knew I want to stay home with my girls. I'm a single mom. I don't want to put them in daycare. That's going to cost like a bunch of money anyways. And then I have to work outside of the home. Like putting on your problem solving hat and what can I do to
Mhm.
generate income to provide for my daughters, but to also be present with them. And
Mhm.
then being able to make arrangements for them to be somewhere on the weekend so that you could go work a double shift at Crack
Mhm.
Barrel, but the whole time knowing I want to do whatever it takes to be able to provide for my family, but be with them, not miss out
Yes.
on their life. Yeah, so
Yes.
I
I
love that.
I love to encourage moms with that because I hear so many moms say, "Well, I have to work. I don't have a choice." Like I'd love to even now, moms will say, "I'd love to homeschool, but I can't." And I'm like, "You actually,
Actually,
you
yes. Yeah.
you get to design your life. You
Mm.
actually have the great privilege of deciding what you value most and creating your life around that." And I don't mean that in a harsh way,
Right.
like not, it's I don't think anyone who says that is like making excuses. They really just don't see or understand that they do have the choice. So once you've made a decision and it's like this is a non-negotiable, we start from here. Ground zero is whatever it is the Lord's called you to. Because some women like they don't feel called to be home with their kids and they want to go work outside the home and that's totally fine. But for the ones that do want to and they just don't think it's possible, it actually is. There are ways that you can just make that decision and then figure the rest out. So,
Yeah, totally. And we'll get there, but now
yep.
take us to the redemptive part of the story and the expansion of your family.
Yes, the family expanded. So, um, I met David. He had 4 children, and I had my 2, And it was like I always it's funny because he said, I always wondered, after he went through his divorce and stuff, like if it would be something that would be a hard sell, like, hey, it's me and 4 kids. And to me, it was like, this is the best upgrade because I just gained 4 more overnight that I didn't actually
Love
have to
that.
birth. It
Yes.
was the greatest blessing, like instantly fell in love with his kids. He fell in love with my girls. And then since we've had another together, so that's how we got the grand total of 7. And Dave, he's a lineman by trade. When he told me that, I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, you don't look like a football player. I had no idea.
Like, no offense, but
Yeah, yeah. So he had a great job, like made a great income and beautiful home. Like we live on a few acres out in the country, just kind of like it felt like this fairy tale, like, I'd been working so hard for so long. I also finished my bachelor's degree during my single mom years, which I've never used, but that's besides the point.
but you did
So
it. That's
I
awesome.
did it. I did it. Um, but so we got married and he was like, you just need a season of rest. Like, he was used to covering all the bills and things on his own. We didn't anticipate just like adding a few more things, like more mouths to feed and then dance classes and then, just all those little things. Um, adding up and it even with his salary being generous, we were still like paycheck to paycheck. And so it came to a point where I'm like, okay, this season of just being able to homeschool is awesome, but I have to help. I have to do something to alleviate the pressure and the stress that's on him. It didn't feel fair that like it
Um,
was all on his shoulders. I wanted to contribute. And I also felt like there's more, like I love being a mom. I feel like that's like it's one of my greatest passions and one of the hugest parts of my calling, but it's not the entirety. And I
right.
I was feeling like there are people outside these walls that I need to impact too, and how can I do that? And so then actually the 100X group that you and I met through, my first mentor, I heard him talking about the blend between ministry and business because I was trying to do everything separately, like mom and then business and then ministry and very compartmentalized. I didn't
Yeah.
know any better. And when he started talking about a business could actually be a vehicle for ministry and for sowing into others and expanding the kingdom, and you can actually make a profit by doing that kind of work. I couldn't believe my ears. I was like, is this true? Like, is this guy right? Like, this sounds amazing. Like, how could I do kingdom business? I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So just even that little mindset shift of I could I could do something from home that could bring not just like grocery money, but freedom to our family. It just sparked something in me that had never been there. So coming from small town, if you're not from a small town, especially, I don't know, I feel like there's something oppressive about Midwest small towns. I love the town I came from, but you just don't think big and you don't dream big. And I think I had this mindset that, like the people who are wealthy started wealthy or they came from wealthy
Mm,
families. It didn't occur to me that I could ever create wealth.
right.
Didn't even know the scripture that says God gives us the power to create wealth.
Yes.
I felt like it was almost like wrong. Like I remember judging people who were wealthy and thinking, why do they have so much stuff? They should just give their money to the poor because I was poor and I was entitled and I didn't have,
Right. You should give your
so
stuff to me.
yeah, you should share because I'm in desperate need and you seem to have extra. So I just didn't know what I didn't know, but I remember hearing those truths for the first time and it feeling like this part of me was awakened to
Yeah.
actually dream. And I hadn't dreamt. Like I remember thinking like, man, if we could go on one vacation and like afford flights for all 9 of us, that was as far as I could dream. And that was like the very limit. Like, could we ever actually afford 9 plane tickets? I mean, that is a lot. Like,
That's a
still to
lot.
this day, like that's a lot. It's not cheap for us to fly anywhere. Um, but it was just enough. of a breadcrumb for me to like to stir up, like, what if
Mhm.
I could do it? And so then I would hear stories of other entrepreneurs, and specifically one mom homeschooler entrepreneur who had created a $1 million business, and she was staying at home and homeschooling her kids. And there was something that rose up within me that was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. I heard her story at one of the 100X conferences, and it shifted something in me. And so from there, and my husband was, and this is like a really important part that I don't know if I've fully given justice to when I share my story, but he believed in me before I did. And I remember when the first invitation came to like invest in the mastermind and coaching and all of that. And I was like, oh my goodness, like we're gonna have to put this on a credit card. We just paid off our credit cards. How is this even possible? Like we can't afford to invest.
Mhm.
And he handed me the credit card we had just paid off and said, "You're good soil. You're
Mhm.
worth investing in. I believe in you. Let's go all in on
So
you."
good.
And and so having someone behind you, having a mentor, and also having, hopefully someone in your family or a close friend who can just cheer you on and see the gold in you as it's like just starting to like maybe peek its way out, where you can see like maybe there's something in me that God could breathe on that could
Yes.
actually make a difference in the world and make a difference for my family. Because what started, actually, if the Breakfast of Champions call a couple of days before the one I did, I don't know if you heard that with Cindy McKnight. She was talking about what can drive you and make you more resilient. And she said sometimes the thing that keeps you in action isn't like the dream of what you could have, but it's the what happens if I don't? Like what
Mhm.
happens if I don't? And she shared a story about her son and one of his dreams. And for his dream to happen, there's a college that he really wants to attend, and it's an expensive college. And he looked up what the tuition was, and it was like, well, there's no way. We can't afford that. And so she started to realize and put together like, if I don't go all in on me, on building my business, on whatever the vehicle is for you to achieve, she's like, that means he doesn't get his dream either. And so
Mhm.
whatever, like you were saying, like getting our kids to just dream bigger, giving them permission to think anything is possible, giving them the luxury of believing that they have choices, that
Yeah.
they get to decide what their life is going to look like. Our future is self-determining, and it's not decided like ahead of time. Like
Yeah.
I believe that God has a plan, and like I believe that there's things like assignments that are predestined, but I think we have such a part to play.
100%. There's a partnership. Like he has the
Yeah.
plan for us and he has a call for us. And are we going to succumb to the circumstances of our lives? Or are we going to partner
Mhm.
with who he says that we are and what he says that we're going to do and allow ourselves to dream God-sized dreams? Those are his dreams. So I
Yeah.
know what you're saying. There is definitely a partnership involved and
Hmm.
choices along the way that we
Hmm.
get to make to pursue God's heart for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something you just wait for or
Mhm.
pray for. You do pray, and there's times that you're waiting on the Lord for whatever, clarity sometimes, but more often than not, He's waiting on us to take action in faith and in agreement with what He has already spoken, what He's already
Right.
shared, like the nudge that He's already put inside of us. And so, um, anyway, from there, I don't know how you want to transition into like where we are now.
Sure. So yeah, so then that well, one of the other things you had mentioned previously is that you now felt the need to contribute to the family because here you have like yes, your husband was doing really well, he's making six figures, but when you have seven children, that makes a big difference,
It
right?
does a
So
big
that's when we
difference.
began to look for opportunities of what can I do? How can I contribute to the home, but also be present, right? So
Hmm.
start
Hmm.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if you, and I think that this is like a another mindset thing that a lot of us get stuck in is like, okay, am I making enough for our family to be just heads above water? Like,
Mhm.
is it just enough? And I know like we were, and I know so many families are, they're just surviving like by the skin of their teeth. And it's like the bills are getting paid. We're not facing bankruptcy or anything like that, but there's not any wiggle room to dream about the travel. There's not any wiggle room to dream about being generous and sewing into things that matter to our hearts. Like the thought of if a friend has a need, being able to say, how much do you need? I'll write you a check. Those
Mhm.
kind of things. Like when you're in just like a basic um
Survival
not even
mode.
survival mode, and also just like almost like maintenance mode. Like maybe you're
Yes.
not like barely surviving, but you're just like we're getting by. I feel
Mhm.
like so many families just we're just so self-centered. We only think about what we need and that's it. And I found being stirred in me, not only do I want more for my kids and more for our family, but I want to be able to contribute. I
Mhm.
want to be able to have an abundance, and I want to have more than what we need so that I can bless and give to others, because I remember being the person who people did bless. I remember like the single mom days, like what people at my church would be like, here's a Sam's gift card for you to go buy paper towels and toilet paper, and how
Mhm.
much that meant, because the cost of toilet paper and paper towels was a lot to me back then, like a whole lot. Here's a gift card for you and your girls to go out to eat, like drive through a drive through and grab them dinner so you don't have to cook one night. Like those little things. Like
Mhm.
when you're just thinking about what my family needs, you're not thinking, hey, can I have like extra money set aside just so I can be generous to other
Yeah,
people. So
that's good.
um
Mhm.
so I knew I needed to do something, and I tried a few different things. So I had done, gosh, I had done medical transcription. I had done, like I said, the home daycare. I did um coaching and consulting. I did a little bit of like prophetic consulting for a while, and then I did like online master classes and created a course for single moms. I tried all these different things, most of them like me just trying to do something on my own. And it was great because I learned a lot of skills. I became innovative. I broke through a lot of fear. I remember being in that mentorship program, and um our mentor Pedro saying, you need to go live. There's favor in your face. And I'm like, I cannot. I literally would tremble. And like the pushing that red button was like it took me an hour the first time. I remember like being crazy with my kids, like, everyone be quiet, don't talk, I need to concentrate, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say. Like I had to have it all planned out. And of course it's so nerve-wracking the first time you do it because you can't see if anyone's watching at first, and you're talking and all you see is your face. I remember walking outside, just pacing in front of our house and thinking like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I said I would do it, I'm gonna keep my word to myself. And breaking, like, all those little breakthroughs happened when I was trying to build my own thing. And then my friend Tiffany she was with a network marketing company, and she was selling a product that I just wanted to try. And she said, well, do you want to just try the products, or would you be interested in becoming a brand partner, or whatever she called it at that time? She's like, you could, if you're just a customer, you can earn product credits. But if you are a brand partner and what Bass or whatever it was, she said you could earn product credits and cash. And I was like, well, why would I choose just why would I not want the cash? Like the way
Right?
she phrased it was like so like a no-brainer. And I was like, well, um, I don't really want to sell what you're selling. Like that doesn't sound fun to me. Like I don't want to be that. And I had this like as
Percent.
I had this perception that network marketing was for the people who didn't know what else to do, like almost like they were second class entrepreneur citizens. Like
Yes.
which is not true at all. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I was like, I wouldn't even know how to do that. Like all the people that are doing that that are really successful, I feel like they're influencers and they're really outgoing. I was super shy and introverted. I was like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to like bug people to buy my thing. Like I just don't want to do that. Um, and she was like, well, if I will help you. Like you don't have to figure it out on your own. Like I didn't know how to do it either. Like you kind of learn as you go. It's really fun. And I ended up for I don't even know why. Like it took me like several weeks to come to a place of like I thought about it. I thought about it a lot, and she gave me time to think. And one day I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. If you'll coach me, I'll be coachable. And I'll give it 30 days. And in that 30 days, I had so much fun. I had so much fun because I was doing it with people. I was
Mhm.
talking to people. We were doing the same thing together. So she would share an idea and I would be like, "Oh, I'm going to try that." It was so fun to build and do entrepreneurship in community. And I
Mhm.
was like, "Why have I been doing this alone this whole time?" And like lo and behold, like my goal was to make, I think, $1,000 in that first month. I'm like, if I could make $1,000 a month, that would be life changing for our
Yeah.
family. Like I was like barely making that, doing all the other things I was doing, and I was really stressed out. I'm like, if I could do that, that would be awesome. And I almost doubled that in my first month, not knowing anything. I was just like willing to, again, like if you tell me to go live, I won't want to, but I will. If you tell
But
me
I
to do
will.
this, I won't want to, but I will. I'll be coachable. Just tell me what to do and I'll be open. And because I had been mentored by Pedro and been in that community, I had come to the place where I knew to at least be that. Like I
Mhm.
didn't know much else. And it completely changed my life. It shifted everything because it was like now I get to do this together. And so that's how you and I really came together too. So at the end of that 30 days, right about exactly, we got invited into the pre-launch of another
Yes.
network
Well, that's
marketing.
that's a good segue actually. So Tom and I had been bivocational, and now I hate that I can get on a whole soapbox because everything that we do is ministry unto the Lord. Everything from parenting our kids to building a business or going into work to whatever it is that we are doing, it should be done unto the Lord. It's all ministry. So, okay, I'll get off that soapbox. So, all right.
So
So,
good. So
business
good.
is ministry. We have to stop compartmentalizing ministry as, oh, it's only the missionaries that go overseas or only the
Yeah.
pastor on the pulpit on Sunday and Wednesday night. Like, no, it's so much more than that. Everything that we do is ministry. As Chris Volatin likes to say, like, if what we're doing isn't kingdom, then we shouldn't be doing it. Like,
Amen.
period. Right. So Tom and I had been bivocational, working our W-2 corporate America jobs and pastoring a local church, running an international ministry, doing that kind of stuff. And the Lord called us out of our corporate jobs. He called us out of the office of the 8 to 5. And it was never 8 to 5 because it's an hour there, an hour back. It's like you're gone all day, you know?
Yeah.
And anyhow, and so he called us out of that. And I thought, okay, but how are you going to provide? Now, but those of you who are watching that know Tom, you're going to understand what when I say this. Tom's like a sailboat. Wherever the winds of the Holy Spirit go, he goes. I'm a building. My foundation is deep.
Mhm.
So to get me to move, the Lord
Mhm.
has to like pull the building up with all of its foundation and move
Oh
me.
my gosh.
Now,
Yeah.
thankfully, I have since that time learned to be a mobile home, but I'm still not a sailboat. It's probably a good thing that we're not both sailboats, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Anyway, but I say that to say when the Lord called us out, and he started actually with me first. And so that wasn't hard for Tom because he was already kind of there. But then when it was his turn and he had the bigger income at that point in time, I asked him, would you trust the Lord to speak to me also? And he said,
Mm,
yes. And so, funny enough, the Lord answered the next day. I never expected it to be the next day. But when he did, I said, okay, Lord, I know it's you. Um, I tossed, I tossed a fleece. He confirmed it. I'm like the fleece girl. But before I tossed the second one, I already knew. I'm like, okay, I'm not tossing out more fleeces. I already know you've already spoken in a way that I understand it's you. And so we walked away both, from our W-2 incomes and our benefits, etc. And so then that following year was an adventure of like, how is God going to provide, right? It's a walk of faith now. But we understood he needed us to be mobile. He needed us to be flexible. He needed us to be able to, whatever we were doing with him, if we were going to generate income, which I later figured out, it was going to have to be like from wherever, whenever,
yeah.
right? So ultimately, the driver was, all right, Lord, Fast forward in time, we're finding ourselves in debt, donations aren't coming in, and I'm thinking, okay, I know you're not a liar. You're not a man that you
Mm.
should lie. And I know that I know that I know that you said that you called us out of our jobs because again, I'm the fleece girl. I don't just make decisions, like
Right.
flippant decisions. And so, what am I missing? There's something I'm not connecting some dots here. And ultimately, I ended up praying and asking the Lord, do you have a tent making opportunity for me? Like, is there a vehicle that you have for us to generate income? Like, I know why you've called us out of the 8 to 5, which again is really like 7 to 6. I understand why you called us out of that. But what's the vehicle that is going to provide for our
Yeah.
family? Like, show me. And then it was that following month that you and I were in Vacaville, California, August 2018. And I approached you about the pioneering opportunity, with Jamie to transition MIG into the network marketing space. And I was terrified. I have to be super honest. I thought the worst things about network marketing. I always thought, never will I ever. Everything I've ever heard is people take advantage of you. Everybody's in it for themselves. It's the people at the top that are getting rich off of the little people at the bottom. Now, fast forward in time, I've never had that experience, since I've been running with you and Tiff. But also, I worked in corporate America, you guys. There's one CEO at the top of the triangle. CEO up here. Oh, there can only be one. Okay.
Mhm.
We little people are down here working
Mhm.
really hard for this one person at the top. Now you have the CEO and the other executives, and you got the, managerial leadership type staff, and then you've got the other people that work there, the employees. That's the real pyramid. And they keep you stuck on that treadmill for the rest of your life. And good luck climbing the
Mhm.
corporate ladder. Only one person gets to the top. Only few people
Wow.
reach those higher level positions. So anyway, I just want to throw that in there because my concept or my perception of network marketing was, oh, this is awful. People are taking advantage of you. And that's actually not true. It's quite the reverse. You flip the pyramid, and
Mhm.
anybody who is coachable, right, willing
Yeah.
to learn, willing to take action, regardless of whether they want to or not, or how they feel, anyone who is coachable and willing to take action, put
Yeah.
themselves out there, get outside of their comfort zone, those people, all of them have the opportunity to reach the top, every single one of them. And what's really beautiful about this industry is that we actually only get there by bringing others up as well. Now, some people choose to stay. You can't make people pursue their dreams. I
Mhm.
mean, I often want it more than they do, right?
Mhm.
But those who do, they all have the same opportunity, and we all get to grow together and reach the top together. And so I found that every perception that I had about this industry was completely wrong. Of course, I don't know, maybe there's other businesses that have done it the wrong way. And maybe our parents, back in the day and our grandparents' network marketing models were more, I don't know, they were probably different. I have no idea. Things were probably done differently in ways that kind of rub people the wrong way. And there's good reason why some people are apprehensive and have
Yeah.
these perceptions, because there are people who do things the wrong way and are spammy and whatever. But in our time that we've been building, what we're building with MIG Herbal Alchemy, we're so like kingdom focused, and we are so impact driven. And because we love and care for people and want them to succeed, I experienced the complete opposite of what I had been told.
Yes.
And not only that, gosh, it is so fun to build together, because I
It
had
is.
tried other things on my own as well. I had tried to start like a Christian apparel store online. This is back in the days, really before social media was much of a thing. And you had to pay thousands of dollars to get a website developer and whatever, right? And I tried multiple different things because somehow inside of my heart, I knew that I wasn't made for the 8 to 5 corporate job. Even before the
Mhm.
Lord called us out, there was something inside of me that felt like I was dying a slow death in that cubicle. And even when I had a fancy office, as
Yeah.
HR manager or whatever, like I was still dying a slow death. There was something that
Yeah.
felt oppressive for me, knowing that I was called to more than that. And so I love that when this opportunity presented itself, I was terrified. I had all of the wrong preconceived ideas about this industry. But I knew, in spite of not knowing you fully well at the time, I knew that you were a woman of integrity. I also knew that Jamie Cross was a woman of integrity. I'd heard her story
Mhm.
twice at this point, and I knew that I could trust that. I knew that the nudging of the Holy Spirit was the one causing me to lean in spite of my fear, right? And so I
Mhm.
chose to press through that fear to even approach you and ask you the question. Fast forward 5 years later, here we were pioneering, building, having a blast, going on trips together, all of those wonderful things. And I got to see the power of this industry and the power of residual income, and what a blessing it became to our family to provide a
Yeah.
substantial source of income for us. And so I kind of want to shift now into that. Like, you also, even in recent times, after most of the people that are watching on Facebook, they know that we recently went through a shift with Herbal Alchemy, in which the company went back to e-commerce, and now they have an affiliate model in which, affiliates, like, you can join as an affiliate. But affiliate marketing is different.
Mhm.
We lost our income. We legitimately, I mean, I can say I lost 95% of my income overnight, just like that. Now, a lot of companies have seen a shift in this industry. Many, in the most recently, Beachbody has now gone into the affiliate model. You've had Roden and Fields who did that as well over the summertime. Beauty Counter actually went under. Now they're talking about potentially reopening, but who knows if they will and what kind of model they're going to present at that time. Tupperware, Avon went out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. Like, and there's more. There's a lot more. I could go down a list of
Aids.
companies that,
Mhm.
yeah, like this year alone in
Mhm.
2024, there has been a massive shaking in this industry. And so some might say, well, how can I trust again? I've been hurt. Like, I built with Roden and Fields, and now I've gotten, I lost everything. Whoever it is, whatever company it is. And I would say that network marketing isn't going to go anywhere. It's
Mhm.
not going to disappear. But just like Blockbuster didn't have the foresight, right? And that's where they're obsolete, except for evidently there's one little store somewhere in maybe Oregon. There's one.
Really?
And it's like a museum. People go there. I mean, they can still rent videos there, but it's who has a VHS machine anymore? But people go there like, oh, this is Blockbuster. Like, it's become more of like this tourist destination.
Yeah. I
Um,
would yeah.
yeah, but they didn't foresee Netflix and Prime and all of these things. And so I believe that there's going to be network marketing companies that pivot. They understand, they're able to evolve with the digital world, because we
Mhm.
do, specifically since 2020. We've gone
Mhm.
digital. Almost everything is in the online space. And so I do believe that the companies that know how to pivot, how to shift,
Yeah.
into, with the way things are going with technology and the online space, they are going to thrive. And
Yeah.
this is no longer our grandparents' network marketing company. The way that we get to build is so different. And it's not about profiting off we've already addressed that part, but also you never even have to build a team if you don't want to. If you are not somebody who wants to raise up leaders and coach people, you don't have to. You can
Mhm.
just be like in a like an affiliate, but I want them to think of it as like, if you're a franchise owner or you're a distributor for a
Yeah.
particular product, you can continue to be a distributor, purely selling the product to the people that you serve and make
Mhm.
income that way. I mean, hello, Target sells products that they didn't make, and we're not like, oh, they're the devil, like nobody thinks that. So
Yeah.
we have to like get out of this mindset that, oh, network marketing is awful, it's wicked. Actually, it's not. And I can say from personal experience, you can say from personal experience, it's been a tremendous blessing. And so I did want to present this opportunity because there are companies that are doing it right, that have pivoted,
Yeah.
that have learned how to grow in the current state of the digital online space. And they're providing the tools, they're providing the resources, they're providing the automations, they're providing the marketing, they're providing the live support and the mentorship, the live trainings. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to lie, whenever we shifted, out of Herbal Alchemy, when that happened, and then I joined you in business here with Partner Co, I was concerned about what is it going to be like? Are we going to lose what we had? Because it was really something truly special.
It
Our
was.
culture, our sisterhood, everything that we built there together was so, so special. I was afraid that it would be different and that it could
Mhm.
potentially be what everybody had told me, that network marketing
Yeah.
is. And it wasn't, and it hasn't been, and it won't be. And then getting to know our leaders, James and Becky, and then of course Pia
Mhm.
Joe Reynolds, like hello, like who doesn't love Pia? Well, we've known for the last 5 so years or however long. But I said yes because I trusted you, because I
Mm.
trusted Tiffany, because I trusted Pia, and
Mhm.
because I'm in perimenopause and I needed some help. I'm like, give me these hormone balancing drops. I need them, right?
Yes. Yeah, girl. All
But,
of us. Yeah.
right. But at the end of the day, making that transition and now having been in this company for the last 2 months and basically it didn't change anything. We're having so much fun building. We're doing kingdom business for the glory of God. We are helping people with their health. We are helping those who are joining the business build wealth for their families at whatever capacity they're wanting to build. I know that in our business model, we do have a roadmap to earning 6 figures in 6 months. And that's, kind of a catchphrase. People are going to get there at different times, but the blueprint is there if they
Mhm.
follow it. However, not everybody has to do that. And maybe not everybody's going for that. Maybe they just want to pay for
Mhm.
their kids' soccer camp and their daughter's gymnastics, and they just need an additional, what is it nowadays? Now, I think 2 years ago, the average family needed to generate an additional $700 because of inflation just to maintain their current expenses.
Wow.
Today, I believe that's gone up now to $900. You need to have an additional $900 just to maintain your current expenses, like not for extra things, but just to
Wow.
maintain.
Every month? $900 a
Yes,
month?
$900 a month because
Wow.
groceries, gas, the different bills that have gone up, so much has gone up.
Mhm.
That's kind of the average number. I'm sure it varies per location and whatnot.
Sure.
And so even if it's just somebody who is like, I just need to make an extra $700 to $900 a month, $900 a month. That's great. That's life-changing, right? For those people, like how would that bless somebody? And
Yeah.
then there's people who are like, no, I am determined to make a difference in my kid's life. I want to stay home. I want to homeschool. That was the second driver for me. We struggled with years of infertility. And I knew that at some point when the Lord would fulfill his promise, that I wanted to be home with my child. And ever
Mhm.
since then, I have for the most part. And then especially once I stepped into the network marketing space, I'm like, wow, I found something that gave me the opportunity to be
Mhm.
home with my child, be present. And now I'm homeschooling and we have our dedicated homeschooling time. And then I get to work on my business. And one of the unique things about our specific business with Partner Co is that because of the tools, the resources, the automations, the trainings, all of that, you honestly can work this business in 2 hours a day. I know because I've been doing that for 2 months. I'm not I'm not
Yeah.
doing it like all day, every day. Now I could,
Mhm.
'cause I'm kind of a worker bee, just by nature. But you don't have to. And in fact, the people that are watching on Facebook, they know that I have another business that I'm building that the Lord opened up 2 doors for me. And I'm working each one 2 hours a day. That's just 4 hours a day. That's it. That's it. Like,
Wow.
anyway, but back to this business model. Why don't you tell us why you have found this model to be so unique and so special, and why, in spite of the shift that we experienced, and you even exploring real estate, and then you're doing other things, but why this model? Why do you continue to stay in this model?
That's such a good question. I do love real estate, so I'm really grateful. Um, network marketing income, I like to think of it as seed money. I didn't know that at the beginning. I wish I would have known that at the very beginning because I would have sown more. But somewhere along the way, I had the wisdom to think we should have multiple streams. And so we did start an Airbnb while we were still with Herbal Alchemy. And that has been an amazing other stream of income. And so as things were starting to shift with Herbal Alchemy, I did for a minute think maybe we should just do more Airbnbs, maybe we should just invest in real estate. Um, you know, it I didn't love the thought at that time of starting over. And just like you said, like the culture, the team, the sisterhood, what we had was so very special, and I couldn't imagine that it would be anywhere else. I couldn't fathom. And so to find the team that we landed with inside Partner Co with James and Becky and other amazing leaders and see that like it feels like home already. It felt like home from the very beginning. It was like what we had been building, they had been building too, and we just didn't know.
Right.
Um, it's so special. But so anyway, I was thinking I'll just do real estate, I'll do other things. Um, and what I've realized about myself, well, a couple things. What I've realized about myself is I really love the community and the collaboration and the fun and the energy of building in a team. I love I love when someone comes in to the team who's like, and a lot of times it is someone who's like, I just need to make a few $100s a month. I just need to make, and seeing them start to just see what's possible and the dreams get stirred and the gifts get awakened, their mindset grows, their skill
Mhm.
set grows, and before you know it, they're surpassing their goals. And then they're bringing people in and they're starting to pour into them, and the development, the personal development and the leadership development and just how we're becoming the best versions of ourselves as, I love this company too because there are men. In our
Yeah.
former company, it was mostly like skincare and stuff, so it was a lot of almost all women. There's still mostly women in this company, but there are a lot of husband-wife teams, and there are men who are building too, which I absolutely love. But seeing people come in and actually become stepping into the version of themselves that God had in mind when he created them. Like I see the evolving of people um into who they're called to be, and to have a front row seat for that, and to be able to cheer people on and champion them and also be growing myself is so fun. It is so rewarding, so fulfilling. That alone, like there are people who come into the network marketing industry purely for the community. We
Mhm.
actually have women who are like, I can think of several offhand.
Yeah,
They're
I
like,
can
my
too.
my husband makes a lot of money. We don't need the money. This is fun for me. This is just really fun. And so
And
the
shopping
money,
money. They can have their own
yeah,
shopping money.
yes. So their income is like, this is for purses and shoes and vacations if I want to, but they don't want for finances. They just love being in the room, and it is so fun. But on top of that, in terms of just business acumen and what I believe is wise, the more I've learned about entrepreneurship, I've looked at a lot of things. When I think about how can I diversify, how can I create actual wealth that will be legacy wealth for my family? When you have 7 kids, you need quite an inheritance for it to spread out and be significant, right? So I'm thinking like, what's the best way I can build now so that I can leave an inheritance for my children and their children? Because that's a biblical thing.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to build with leverage. And when I say leverage, we talk about in network marketing, leveraged income, residual income, all those things. We talk about time freedom. There's a lot of opportunities that I see, and those things like passive income and residual income are promised. And I haven't seen any, and I've tried a lot of those things. Um, I haven't seen a better way to actually truly make it happen for the average person than in network marketing, where you don't have to be a superstar. You don't have to have like a 100,000 followers. Like I don't have that many followers. I'm not famous. Most people don't have any idea who I am. And yet, if you can come in and be coachable and serve well and love well and be consistent and do
Mhm.
just a few things consistently over time, you can make a significant income. And then as you do, and again, like with our company, especially, you don't have to build a team, but we have consumable products. So if you have amazing products that are giving people a better quality of life, they're feeling better, they're looking better, they're probably going to keep ordering the products, right? And so you build a customer base or you build a team and they continue to order from you, they continue to do business with you because they're loving what they're getting, they're being served really well. Over time, it compounds and it grows and it becomes leveraged. And so if you can acquire a customer once and keep them for life, And then you do that a few times, a few more times, a few more times. Before you know it, it it is it compounds, it multiplies. It's not addition, it's multiplication, because then guess what happens? Your one customer that you have, they start to feel better, their hormones start getting balanced, that maybe they lose a few pounds or a few inches, they're sleeping better at night, their hot flashes went away. They can't help but talk about it, so they're telling their friends, their people are asking them, you look amazing. Your energy is better. Like you what's going on in your health? Like I can tell there's a difference in you. So it spreads and grows without you having to be the one to always have your hand to the plow. And
Mhm.
a lot of opportunities, especially the things I was doing with building a course and doing things like that, um, I was the one running the show. Maybe I could have Facebook ads running, maybe I had some systems and funnels running on the back end, but fulfillment was up to me, customer service was up to me, the product, all of that was up to me. And so with this industry, you don't have to be a scientist and and develop products that work. You don't have to understand compensation plans. You don't have to, a lot of this, the hard stuff of business is done
Mhm.
for you and handed to you. You don't have to be an expert marketer. You don't have to have a connoisseur of testimonials. All of that's provided for you. And if you can just share your story, share other people's stories and do it consistently and well, um, it I feel like there's the lowest barrier to entry for anyone to step in and win. Again, if they're willing to be coached and if they're willing to take action. And so I love this business model for that. And I specifically love our company. I love Partner Co. Well, for many reasons, but especially after what we went through with the shift, and seeing so many other companies, like you said, making the shift into affiliate and it feeling a little um you know, it 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 could feel a little hard to trust again. It could feel a little, because I don't think that any of these companies are probably having leadership that's like setting out to like purposely deceive or destroy anyone's life. Like no one starts a network marketing company to have to shift it. Like they
Right.
want it to work. They want it
Right.
to work. And so the intention's not there, but yet sometimes people just have to make hard decisions. Um, so how do you know in this industry, especially if you're going to go all in, that it's safe? And I love our company for a lot of reasons, but one, I love that our founders are our best friends. Our partners, our founders are business partners that are also best friends. One has 25 years field experience and one has Fortune 500, built like a multi-million dollar, possibly billion-dollar business and sold it, and is just a brilliant
Businessman.
businessman.
Mhm.
And the two of them and their gifts are so complementary. They came together. And then they also formed a Bill of Rights that protects the field. It protects all of us as brand partners and it protects them. So they can't make a comp plan change without us approving. We get to have a say. They don't get to terminate a person without their peers voting and saying they agree that they should be terminated. There's checks and balances to keep everyone feeling safe and protected. Um, and so I really, really appreciate that. And I think that Bill of Rights has actually been around for quite a while with our company, but especially now, it feels so good when we see, unfortunately, so many companies making that move that we can say with confidence, we're protected here.
Yeah,
I think it's a big
absolutely.
deal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. And then just to wrap things up, um, the thing that I personally have loved about the network marketing industry as compared to anything else that I have tried to do on my own. I also created an e-course for fertility and hormone health. I've actually done a lot of different things that I've probably never really talked about publicly on social media. Like I tried this and I tried this and I was doing this and I was doing that and like failure, after failure, if you will. But there's no failures. It's a learning journey. We're always learning. But the point I'm trying to make is that I try to build things by myself. And
Yeah.
it's a lonely journey when you are the lone entrepreneur. It just
Hmm.
is. And when you're building with people, it's so much fun. And and you're not alone. Like there's
Yeah.
so much support. And I don't know whose quote it is, but we've all probably heard it a million times that you can run faster alone, but we will go further together. And I believe
Mhm.
that's biblical. It's in the multiplication of people, we
Yeah.
get to make more impact. And so
So
that
true.
alone is the one reason that I will 100% always affirm and promote the network marketing industries. I mean, if you want to build alone, by all means, I'm not saying don't if that's what you feel called to, but it's a lot more fun when you build together.
It really is. It really is.
Yes. Well,
So,
Liz, are there any final thoughts? Anything else you want to add?
um, I think the only thing I would add is just, if you're stirred by this conversation, maybe you've been in a place where you're not dreaming and you're not thinking about what could be possible for your life, your family, your kids, and you're stirred to even think, well, what would it be like if I could? Do I have it in me? I remember just all those questions thinking like, could I? Like, would it be possible? Would it work for me? Like maybe it's working for them, but I don't think I have the gifts or the personality or whatever. We always discount ourselves. If you're stirred even a tiny bit, and if you find yourself thinking like maybe it could be for me, or maybe not even for you, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's someone you know, but if you're stirred and you're thinking like there's something in you that's feeling like compelled, then I would just encourage you to reach out to Lily, have a conversation, ask questions. Here's something that we know we will never do, and this is something we've vowed in our previous company and also in this one. We will never twist anyone's arm. We don't want anyone to be with us because of coercion. We don't want to, try to convince people to join us in business, but we do want people to make educated decisions and empower them to make a decision with full knowledge of what they're saying yes or no to. So some people they get all the information, they poke holes and they look inside the room and they decide not to join, and that's totally fine. And then many take a peek and they're like, I can't unsee what I just saw. I have to step in. I have to be in this room. Um, and of course, we would be honored. We would be so honored to answer questions and to serve you in any way we can with absolutely no strings or pressure attached. Um, I think you owe it to yourself and to your future to look behind any door and just see, not just this one, but anytime an opportunity is presented to you, a mentor said this to me once, and I try to live by it. Don't say no before you look. Like, if there's an opportunity presented to you, especially if it's by someone that you trust, that you know is genuine, who you share values with, take a peek and consider and pray. And I don't think you'll ever regret being open-minded. I think so many times our knee-jerk response is like, no, or not me. So that would be like my final thoughts is just,
That's so good. I think we're so quick to dismiss things for various reasons, but I feel like most of the time the root of why we say no is fear.
yeah,
Fear of we don't understand what it is, so we say no, fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty, fear of I can't do this, fear of I'm not like Liz and Lily. I don't have the ability to speak, to do a live video and have my face seen by
yeah,
people. But you just heard Liz earlier tell you how terrified she was, how long it took her to push that little red button. I will still get anxious right before I hit that little red button.
me
Like I'll
too.
still get nauseated, but I do it anyway, right? It's
Mhm.
punch fear in the face and do it anyway, because how bad do you want your breakthrough? And I agree. You owe it to yourself. If there's any curiosity, even if there's like a little inkling, a 5% chance of curiosity of like, what could this mean for me and my family? Could this be something that could bless our family? Then you owe it to yourself to have a look behind the curtain and just, have a look and pray and see if this is something the Lord has for you. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us, Liz. I feel like there are so many moms out there, whether they are stay-at-home moms, homeschooling moms, or even moms that are working behind the desk in 8 to 5 that are feeling like I did back then, like feeling trapped and like just like this is not what I'm called to. And your desire is to be home with your kids, whatever the reason may be that you're needing to build an online income. This is a really great opportunity. And so just at, reach out, ask questions, and we will help guide you along. That's it. So thank you so much for joining
That's
us, Liz.
it.
Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate you so much, and
Thank
we
you.
will talk later. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.